Summary on cloning here for anyone who missed it. Um, so, why do we need cloning? Why is it useful? Let's start with this video here. So this is the game Space Invaders. It's an old classic arcade game. So you notice that there's a sprite right here, this tank, it's moving around and shooting things. There's some sprites here, there are barriers, but most notably we have a bunch of sprites up here. They're all different aliens. You can see there's kind of one, two, three different kinds of aliens, and they all have pretty much the same behavior, right? They move a little bit to the right, they drop some missiles down, and when they bump into the right wall, they start moving back to the left. All of them so they almost have all the exact same behavior. Okay, so if we wanted to make this in Snap, how would we do it? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, let's say, 10 rows here. That would be 50 different sprites we'd have to create, right? We'd have to have 4 sprites for this and a sprite for the tank. It'd be ridiculously hard. And then let's say we did it. We made the 40 sprites, 50 sprites, and then we're like, oh crap! I forgot to. I want to change the speed that they move at. So, or I want to change the behavior just a little bit. That means I have to now go into 50 different sprites and change its code. That's terrible. Can we do it a better way? What if instead we could just make one of these guys, and just have this guy be the master sprite, and then we just clone it a bunch of times so that we get all these new copies of it, and each one has slightly different behavior, or maybe even the same behavior, it's just another copy. Maybe it just starts in a different position, or maybe it just looks a little bit different, has a different costume, right? But that way we really only have to code in one place, and then how do I do arrows here? Yeah, we have to code in one place, but we can get a bunch of copies of it for free. Okay, so that's the idea of cloning. How do we do that in Snap? Well, we have these two controls that we've never really played with before. When I start as a clone, and create a clone of. So this thing will allow you to pick a clone, or a sprite. Right now we only have one sprite, but if I made another one, let me go back to this guy, you can see that there's 2 different sprites available. So you can pick any sprite and I'll make a copy of it. Let's try that right now. Let me clear the board. There is clear. Oh, sorry, it is clear. Okay, so let's make a clone. How about that? Each time I click it, we're getting another copy of this. But they're all doing the exact same thing. They start in the same spot, they look the same, they're pointing in the same direction. So that's not that interesting. So what if instead, let's get rid of this guy, we don't need it. So what if instead, each time it started, we want it to be in a different spot. So that's where we use this other block, when I start as a clone. So we can say that when you start normally, do something, right? Maybe pick a color. Or how about pick a certain, I don't know. Anyway, but when you start as a clone, do something slightly different. So maybe we could say turn 15 degrees when you start as a clone. Let's try that. See, now we can see our clone is actually turned in a different direction. If we do it again, we can tell the clones apart from the original because they're all facing a different direction. Or maybe we could have them turn in a different direction and move in a and say I'm a clone for 2 seconds. I'm a clone. Okay, so when I start as a clone, I do that, and just to differentiate him, we'll have that block, and we'll have these guys say I'm the real deal. Alright, so when we start the program, this guy says I'm the real deal. We can put him anywhere, I'm the real deal. But if we create a clone of Sprite, this new one says I'm a clone, and it turns 15 degrees. Notice they all have the original code in them as well, so if I click green while they're active, they'll still say I'm the real deal. Of course they're lying. Okay, so let's look at a slightly more interesting example. Oops. Recording is lagging my snap here. Okay, so I got this sprite. It's a girl walking, I think. You can see she's really tiny. And all of her code is when I start as a clone, set my size to size, set my direction to direction, move in count times 20 steps, and say I'm alive. And here's our controller, the stage. So when you click, I'm going to set a size variable, set a direction variable, and a count variable. And these are global variables, which means that this sprite can see them, the stage sprite, and the sprite can see them. And if you remember, you do that by saying, when you create the variable, you say for all sprites. Okay, but when it starts, it initializes these three variables, and then 20 times it changes those variables a little bit, increments them, and then creates a clone of sprite, and waits a third of a second to do it again. So what do we think will happen here? The first time in the loop, size will be 10, but then it's going to change to 11. Or sorry, count will change to 1, direction will change to 90 plus 10, 100, and size will change to 20. And then it's going to create a clone, and then in the clone she's going to set herself to the size, which is going to be 20. Her direction will be 100 degrees, and she's going to move 11 times. She moved 22 steps. Something like that. Alright, let's try it out. Oh, and say I'm alive. Cool, right? She's creating, she's getting bigger, she's changing direction, and she's moving a bigger number of steps each time. Do that again. Oops. I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive. Alright, that's pretty much what cloning allows you to do. You have a master clone, or a master sprite, sorry, which has its code, its normal code. In this case, it actually has no normal code, though you could just as easily have it do something as soon as it starts, like move. And then you have code that only runs when it starts as a clone. And then over here you have the stage, or any block can control it, and it creates a clone. And you can set variables beforehand to control how the clone behaves, etc. Alright, so in this lab you're going to be creating a bunch of sprites, and they're going to be moving in random directions and doing random things, maybe random colors if you want. I hope that explains it. Cheers.